Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about section 7.3, which is using similar right triangles. So we've talked about similar triangles back in Unit 6. We know that all the angles are congruent and all the sides are proportional. And we're talking about right triangles, which are obviously just a triangle with a right angle. And we're going to kind of combine the two today. So with theorem 7.5, if we have a right triangle like this one, ABC, this large right triangle, and we were to draw an altitude on the interior of the triangle right here, altitude CD, and we know it's an altitude because this is a right angle, that altitude will form a set of three right triangles. We have a small triangle here, we have a medium triangle here, and then we have a large triangle, which is the whole thing. And those three triangles are similar, which means their corresponding angles are congruent and their corresponding sides are proportional. We're going to use that definition, or rather this theorem, to solve problems. Usually these are called tent problems because this kind of looks like a tent with something to prop it up and someone sleeping underneath here. So usually these are called tent problems. And I'm going to go through just two tent problems for the sake of keeping this video concise and short. So in both of these, we have similar right triangles. We have an altitude that's dividing a right triangle that's the whole thing. So we have three similar right triangles. There are a couple of options of how to attack a problem like this, and I'm going to show you one option, which is the long way, and kind of a short way that makes it a bit easier. So for this one, I'm going to take my right triangles and I'm going to separate them and draw them separately because then it's easier to see which sides and which triangles are corresponding to somehow write a proportion since the sides are proportional. So I'll take my small triangle here, which is E, H, and G, and I'm going to draw it separately. So let me just move it over here and rotate it so it's in a nice orientation here. And this is H, this is E, and this is G. I'll do the same thing with my medium triangle. And I'll move it so that it's in a similar orientation. Try that again. There we go. And this one is an H, our shorter leg is a G, and then this one is at F. So I kind of just rotated this and turned it over here. I know H is where my right angle is, G is the end of the shorter of my two legs, F is the end of the longer of my two legs. And as I go, I should label these with what the values are. With my small triangle, the hypotenuse was 3, and I know the longer of my two legs was x, and I didn't know the shorter leg, so I leave that blank. My medium triangle, I know the hypotenuse is 4, it's across from this right angle here. I know that the shorter of my two legs, in this case, is x, which was shared in my other triangle, and I do not know the longer of my two legs, so I will leave that blank. Excuse me. Now my large triangle, I know it's a 3, 4, 5 right triangle, but to make it like these, I'm going to reflect it and make it a mirror image of itself. Where this was 3, this was 5, and this was 4, G, F, and E. So now I have three similar right triangles that I can use, and I can write a proportion since these sides are proportional because they're similar. So if I just look at my green and my blue triangle, I don't really have enough to write a proportion. I can write 3 over 4 equals x over, well, there's nothing here. Or 3 over 4 equals, well, there's nothing here to match up with x. If we try matching up perhaps our medium and large, I have 4 over 5 and x over 3, and I can use that as a proportion. Now remember, there are several proportions you could write. You could also say 4 over x and 5 over 3. Or you could look at, excuse me, your red large triangle and your green small one and say 3 over 5 equals x over 4. There are a number of proportions you could write. Any way you do it, when you cross multiply here, you should end up with 12 equals 5x. And so x equals, I want to say, about 2.4 when you divide by 5. So this is the longer way. You separate your triangles and write them out so that you can easily write a proportion seeing what sides are corresponding. If you didn't draw these separately and just left them in here, it'd be hard to see what sides correspond with each other to write a proportion. Now, I did say there's a shorter route you could also take. And this shorter route involves not redrawing all of these triangles. So we get rid of this and erase down here. And this shortcut involves a nice little table that you can create. Let's move that to the top so you can see the whole thing. There it is. And this table will work for any tent problem you like, and this is just an option you can use. The S, M, and L stand for small, medium, and large triangle. And over here with the rows, SL stands for short leg, LL stands for the longer leg, and H is your hypotenuse. So let's try this the second method. If I look at my small triangle, which is my first column, the hypotenuse is 3. So I'll fill in a 3 here. I know my longer leg is X. I don't know the value of my short leg, so I just leave this blank. Looking at my medium triangle with my right angle here. I know my hypotenuse is 4. I know my short leg is X. I don't know my longer leg, so I leave this blank. And with your large triangle, we can see that our hypotenuse is 5, our longer leg is 4, and our short leg is 3. Now the nice thing about this chart is that anywhere you can form a box. So when I say a box, I mean a rectangle. Whether it's a rectangle that we picture or it's a square, which is a special type of rectangle. So here, if I can draw a rectangle like the one here, the 4 corners will be my proportion. So x over 4 equals 4 over 5. Or you could say x over 4 is 3 over 5 like that. I'm sorry, x over 3 is 4 over 5. That's my mistake. You could say x over 4 is 3 over 5, however you want to use your 4 quarters. 3 over x is 5 over 4. You can write your proportion that way. You also might notice you could have a box here. And you could write x over 4 equals 3 over 5. And any box you make, as long as you use the 4 corners, you'll have a true proportion. Both of these will cross multiply to give you 12 equals 5x. And both of these will give you an answer of 2.4, just like we did the first one. So to do the table, you just fill in what you know, see if you can find a box somewhere with 4 corners, with one of them being your variable, and then cross multiply to solve. This is the method that I will primarily be using because it's a much quicker and more efficient way, in my opinion, for solving instead of redrawing everything. So let's try a second example using this. Let's move this to the top again. Sorry for the delay. This video has a delay because the board is acting a bit funny today. So here again, we'll fill in our table. Looking at our small triangle here, we know the hypotenuse is 5. The longer of the 2 legs is x. We don't know the short legs, so we leave it blank. With our medium triangle, which has a right angle here, our hypotenuse is 12. We do not know our longer leg, and we know our shorter leg is x. And with the whole thing, we know this is a 5, 12, 13 triangle. So 13 is our hypotenuse, and then 5 and 12 are our short and long legs. And now we can write a proportion using a box in this table. So there's a number of boxes you have here. You can use one here, there's one here, and I think those are the only 2 we can use here because anything else will not give us a rectangular shape. I'm going to choose this box here. So x over 12 equals 5 over 13. And we'll cross multiply and end up saying that 60 equals 13x. And x is about 4.6. And there's our result. No, you will not always get a decimal. Sometimes you may, just like in these couple of examples. Sometimes you'll know all 3 values of your large triangle, like the past 2 examples, not every time. But all the 10 problems may look slightly different, but you can use your table for any of them, or you can use the method of redrawing them out from any of them. Both methods will get you the correct answer. So if you have any questions, please send me an email or see me before school or after school. Hopefully this video is a bit helpful.